I'm Jenny with Roots and Wings Furniture. Today I'm going to walk you through the basics of painting a piece of furniture. We're going to go over the prep and what you need to do to properly clean your piece and get it ready for painting, and then we are just going to paint it in a solid color. And distressing will be optional at the end. So that's what we're going to work on today. First of all, let me tell you what you're going to need. So first things first, you're going to need two different kinds of sandpaper. You're going to need 220 grit and 120 grit. 120 is a little optional. That's what I use to do the distressing at the end. So you might not need that if you don't want the distressed look. You'll definitely need 220. You need a good paintbrush. I recommend the Purdy brushes. This is the XL Cub, and let me tell you, don't think that any paintbrush is the same. This will really level out your paint. It'll reduce the brush strokes, and this is just comfortable to hold in your hands. So something like this is really worth the $12 investment. So that's what you need there. We are using General Finishes Milk Paint. I feel like this is the best paint, in my opinion, to use on furniture. It does take a little bit of prep, like most paints should, but it levels out really nice. It gives you a really professional finish, and you don't have to seal it at the end unless it's a high traffic area like a kitchen table or something like that. The sealing at the end is optional. This seals itself, and it gives a really nice durable finish. So we're going to use antique white today on this piece. You'll need a stir stick for the paint and paint heat. It's really hard to open paint cans without this. You will need paper towels, and then to clean the piece really well, we're going to use denatured alcohol. You're going to use a 50-50 mix of denatured alcohol and water. I just like to mix it in a spray bottle, and then that'll clean the piece really well. You can use damp paper towels, but this just gives you the extra security. It takes off any oils or grease or anything that the piece might have been cleaned with. So this is a great thing just to have on hand to clean it. This is the piece I'm going to work on. It is just an end table, and without anything else, let's get started. Okay, we're going to start by just scuff sanding the piece, and you're going to use your 220 sandpaper. Before we get started on this, if your piece is red and has a red tone to it, kind of like this here, I'm going to show you a little trick. You're gonna need to prime it if your piece is red and you want to go to a white. And how you know if you're gonna get bleed through is like this. So you're gonna take your piece, I'm gonna use this one just for example, and you just sand it a little bit. And then when you go to clean it, you use your paper towel, you'll get red on your paper towel. Now if you're seeing any red or any tones coming on your paper towel when you clean it, you're gonna need to stop and prime your piece. The best primer is the General Finishes Stain Blocker. It's going to take 2 coats, and you're going to apply it just like you would the paint, and you're going to do that after sanding, after your prep sanding, but before you add any paint. So you're going to need to use that. Another option is shellac. It's a little bit stinky, so be careful if you use something like that, but it is a little more widely available, so that's something else to consider. Otherwise, if you sand your piece and you clean it, you're not getting any residue, any color on your paper towel, then you're good to go. So just double check that, because if you start getting bleed through, it can be a real pain. So all we're going to do is scuff sand this. You're going to go in circular motions around the whole thing. Something like this is only going to take a couple minutes, so it's not, people think sanding, oh, it's such a big deal. This isn't such a big deal. So all right, we're just going to get started here. That's all you need to do your prep sanding, and then we're going to spray it down with our denatured alcohol and water. And then just wipe it all off. Alcohol is going to make this dry real quick. Just give it a minute until it's completely dry, and then we will start painting. Alright, to get started painting, we started recording without the video going, so we're going to start again. You are going to need to stir up your paint. use a stir stick. I always prefer to stir instead of shaking so we don't get any extra air bubbles. Just make sure you get anything off the bottom that may have settled. And then we're just gonna dip in your brush and get started. I'm gonna start with long, even strokes across the piece. And we're just gonna go section by section. So I'll do the top first, and then we'll move on and do each side as we go. The first coat, especially if you're doing white, always looks a little frightening, and you think you may have just ruined a piece. But don't stop there, just let it dry, and you move on to your second coat. And the second coat really just brings it to life. Okay, you're gonna let this dry. Usually it takes about 2 to 4 hours depending on the temperature of where you're painting. Just let it dry till it's completely dry to the touch, and then we will start with our second coat. So I'll see you in just a bit. Okay, the first coat is dry, and we are just gonna put on the second coat exactly the same way. I usually take drawers out if I'm working on a piece with drawers. It just allows you to get all the nooks and crannies a little easier, and then helps you not have drips. This drawer doesn't want to come out, so we're just keeping it in there and being careful to get all the spots around it. We're just gonna let this dry again. For most colors, 2 coats will usually do it with coverage. Sometimes the whites, like you can see a few places here, you might have to go back and just touch up a few places. If you're using Snow White, which is the purest white, you're gonna need usually at least 3 coats. So just be prepared for that. So we'll let this dry, and then I'll go back and just touch up any little areas that need it, and then I'll be back and show you how to distress. So I'll be back with you in just a minute. Alright, this is all dry, so if you choose to distress it, you're going to grab your 120 grit sandpaper. I like to just fold it up in the palm of my hand, and then I'm going to go along the edges. Just like this. And this is where you would get the natural wear and tear on a piece. You're just going to do that the exact same way around the whole piece. Now if you don't like the look of the distressing, just don't do it. Skip that step. After you are finished with the last coat of paint, give it 24 hours to dry really well and to harden, and then be gentle with it for about 21 days. So if you are painting this for a customer, just make sure you let them know. Just be gentle. Otherwise, you can use it lightly in 24 hours. If you did the distressing, you just dust it off like so, and then you are finished. So that's the basics of furniture painting. I'm going to finish this piece up and I'll show it to you when I'm all done. But that's it. How simple and fun is that? And you can totally transform a piece in your house. Alright, hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you soon.